in the future, the way I see it, is every company is going to also become a software company.
Traditionally, probably you were taught a lot of functional knowledge like marketing, finance, and operations. But without technology now, these are becoming obsolete. So, a tech MBA and exposure to these technologies is very, very important.
I believe that the best students are those that are well-rounded. So they're not necessarily specialists. So good product managers, people who can lead in the world of tomorrow.
An MBA is a road to a goal. It's not the goal itself. Any road you take, let it be an IIM or other schools. Please do not stop just because you didn't make it with a certain CAT score.
Hey, hi. My name is Malthi, and I'm a product consultant and visiting faculty. So I have about like more than 20 years of experience of building tech products, large enterprise product, a lot of B2C product. Last few years, I've been very involved in building products from the startup ecosystem of India. And that also led me to the passion that I really like teaching. And I'm a visiting prof for professor of practice, as it is called now, at multiple B schools. And that's what brings me to HSB. And I teach product-led growth, which is slightly a more advanced topic where a product is a hero, for enterprises or customers to buy the product along with the sales team. So that's what brings me here.
My name is Gregory Dunn. I'm the Dean of HSB. And I worked for some years in corporate strategy and logistics. I then decided to do my PhD, which I did at the National University of Singapore. I've spent 15 of the last 20 years living in Asia. First came to India 20 years ago when I was an exchange student at the University of Hyderabad. Since have wound up here and yes, running this new business school.
Good to know, Greg. Hello, Greg, and hi, Malthi. I'm Hima Bindu. I've done my marketing and communications from JNU, after which I've worked in an advertising agency and worked with 2 business schools, ISB being the most notable of them. From inception to for over 19 years, I've worked with ISB and then with GO. And currently, I'm working with HSB, Harishankar Singhania School of Business. I look after admissions. And in my journey at admissions, I've learned a lot about people and what makes them complete and builds their successful careers. So, Malti, we've heard a lot about MBAs, general MBAs, and all, but now the buzzword in the industry seems to be about AI and product managers and how it's disrupting the whole recruitment scenario. Can you tell more about a product manager, the roles and responsibilities, and how it is panning out in the business world?
Sure. See, if I can just go back a little bit in time, right? Product management is definitely new in the internet era or in the technology era is for the tech products. But in the FMCGs, manufacturing, this is a role which has existed for a much longer time, right? And it kind of stems up from a marketing role. Now, internet has definitely transformed product, the product space. So if I have to go back, especially in the tech product world, this is about, I would say, a role which has evolved in the last 2 decades. And SaaS has further accelerated it as a function. Now, product manager is somebody who is sitting at a epicenter of, I would say, business, customer, technology, and design. That means it is a very orchestrated role where you should be able to speak the language of each of these different stakeholders. You should be able to identify a customer problem, build it, the right solution, and at the same time, you need to have a very strong business lens so that you are able to generate revenue out of it. And I'm so glad that in the last few years, academia has started to identify as a gap which needs more rigor in terms of building the craft for the product managers, right? And that is where I see that MBA gets adds a lot more value to the product management function. Because as I said, you are not only somebody who understands technology, but you are also somebody who understands business. Because there is a lot of P&L which drives where product is the hero, right? And that is where I see that MBA, which gives an entire perspective of different functions, whether marketing, sales, different domains, different industries, adds on a lot more dimension, a lot more perspective for the role of a product manager. And now with AI coming into the picture, Hima, for you asking, I think the technology emphasis has got much more deepened over there, right? So even for product managers who come with a business background, have a customer centricity craft, they need to also be able to understand technology more deeply, because the things are going to get far more easier with AI incoming, things are going to get far more accelerated. So for them to have a very good dialogue with their tech team, with their data scientists, they need to understand this more. So I would say, especially every single, whether you are a manufacturing industry, I think in the future, the way I see it is every company is going to also become a software company, right?
True.
So in that context, the role of a product management manager becomes far more centerpiece for the success of those businesses. And that
I think that's a good take to have, because earlier business schools, you had around a dozen people answering calls. Now you just have a bot,
correct.
responding to the query students give in real time. So that's a huge AI infusion you've seen in admissions and other areas. Of course, our shopping areas and all that, of course, we know all the products we use on Swiggy, Zomato, Blinkit, whatever. We are always interacting with AI and different types of products that are there. And it's amazing how it is, the multiplier effect, how fast it's evolving.
Correct.
I'm sure Greg will have a lot of US examples on that too. What about the curriculum, Greg? What are the things you brought in on, especially on AI and other things, for a product manager? How is it designed for a product manager?
So, yes, great question. So, one of the things about the educational industry in general is that it's notoriously slow to change. There are a lot of just entrenched interests and people who like to teach the same thing over many decades. So, we recognize that there's a gap in the market. So, we want to provide a business education that's grounded in technology. So embraces technological change, embraces these new concepts like AI that are having such a fundamental effect on society and how we do business. But at the same time are grounded in timeless principles. So things like leadership that ironically have become maybe even more important than they were 2,000 years ago. So it's that synthesis of classic knowledge and principles with technology that I believe is unique to our program and that our students stand to benefit from.
What was amazing was I've seen, Lata and, Sunil Mishra talking about it. Sunil was one of the key people who worked on Finacle, the product for Infosys, which a lot of banks and financial industry use. So these industry practitioners coming and teaching the same thing in the classroom was a, real-time experience for students as to how the product of Finacle evolved, and Lata Menon on the user buyer research, how the consumer research is happening. That was a very interesting. They brought a lot of insights from the industry. That was very important also.
Yeah. In fact, I think this emphasis that HSB that we have, where it is by, learning by doing, I think it is a great way, because specifically if I talk about product management, it is such a behavioral function, it is such a cross function that despite the fact that all the, goodness that we capture from the classrooms, it has to be done to be learned. So I really love the fact that, the projects, the industry interactions that we have, that gives a very first-hand access for the students to be able to visualize what they are signing up for.
A lot of people ask me, what we should look for in an MBA. And a lot of times it is, I tell them that, you should look for interdisciplinary knowledge. That's very important. And exposure to technology, because how much ever you say it, technology is an essential thing now. Like traditionally, probably you were taught a lot of functional knowledge like marketing, finance, and operations. But without technology now, these are becoming obsolete. So, a tech MBA and exposure to these technologies is very, very important. You need not be an expert in it, but an exposure to that is very, very good for you. Like digital marketing is the core of marketing now, and analytics as well as AI is the core of finance now. Without these things, these subjects cannot be learned. So exposure to these becomes very, very important. And a student should be able to adapt and learn and have an exposure to all these, even if they're not experts. Their domain expertise is important. The core competency is essential. Like you're a doctor, you're an engineer, you're a literature student, or an economist. Yes, that's very important. But an MBA gives you that value add. I mean, exposure to technology helps you in better applying it and how to use the tools of technology to better implement this in your roles and responsibilities. That becomes important.
Yes, and also an MBA that welcomes changes in technology and society and embraces those. So businesses were very quick to latch on to AI and the potential that it brings. The reaction in education tended to be hesitation and fear. So being scared of this new technology, it's going to allow our students to cheat. So I think the healthy approach is to embrace it in the same way that businesses do, and to say that this is a new opportunity for education, so it's here to stay. So how do we adapt to this? How do we integrate it into our program? I believe that the best students are those that are well-rounded. So they're not necessarily specialists. So good product managers, people who can lead in the world of tomorrow, also have to be generalists. So at HSB, we welcome a diverse range of backgrounds and students, and that also adds to the flavor of the cohort. So people who come not just from different geographic backgrounds and experiences, but also intellectual backgrounds and training. So a liberal arts background, an engineering background, all of that can be very interesting in the classroom, and having those people work together to develop new ideas is something that I think is also a feature of HSB.
Yeah, I'm sure, Greg. You see a lot of diverse students, and when you form them into a study group, it's very interesting the out of box solutions they come up with. It's very, very creative thing. You have to actually club an accountant with an engineer with a liberal arts student, and some of the best creative solutions come out during the study group. And a lot of professors have endorsed it, saying these combinations are actually very, very good to get the best problem solving as well as strategies to implement new things that happens with this. So diversity is a very, very important thing, to have an open mind to learn better also, because how an accountant thinks is very different from how a engineer thinks and how a liberal arts literature student thinks. That way there are a lot of lessons learned on leadership and strategy and otherwise also by students. This exposure gives them a very different perspective on problems and business solutions too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just if I may add up to it, right? I mean, personally, when I used to hire for my team, we used to be very mindful that we are getting people from diverse background. We have people from tech. We have folks from, as you said, liberal arts background, so that they come with a eye on user psychology. There are people who come with business background. So what happens is that's where I think the magic happens, right? Because there are folks with different strengths coming together. Because eventually we are building products for humans.
Yes.
Right? So it's very important to have a very rounded up approach, looking at a very holistic approach towards it, rather than looking at what this tech can do the best for this particular human. But this
True.
customer first, this user, human center first approach goes very well with a very diverse set of people coming together to build these products.
True. And an accountant is always astounded by how, a creative person says the bottom line is not the end goal of everything. If you have a wonderful product which can make a customer happy, that's more important than the profit, even if you take a hit on the profit. I've seen these study groups working together and they come out with some of these amazing, oh, it opened my eyes to this
Yeah, yeah.
sort of an idea.
I mean, just now I was conducting my class, and I actually see that, I think when we talk about this, we have right now the cohort with very diverse background, right? And how a lateral thinking emphasis is done when you teach a course like design thinking, because it lets you think from a very different perspective,
Yes.
right? So yes, you're right. I mean, it kind of I would say helps you develop a very different perspective, appreciate others' way of
Yes.
thinking, because that is again in a cohesive work culture is a very important thing.
True, true.
If you ask me, having done product management for 20 plus years, I would say there are just 2 or 3 key traits when I look for hiring a product manager. Curiosity, it also translates the hunger to succeed.
Yes.
Somebody who is a problem solver, you are able to absorb that there is a problem around you and you already start thinking that, okay, what is the best way to solve? And the third thing I would say is the attitude or the sense of ownership. Because see, as a product manager, you while probably coming from an Ivy League school and all, give you the edge over others, from the best place to start, best job to start with, but eventually they all kind of give you a level playing field based on how much are you able to take the ownership, run for the excellence and all that. So for me, as exactly as you said, curiosity, problem solving, and attitude, these are some of the key traits to become a great product manager. Okay, see, AI has like existed for a much longer time than what many, like a common man or a human being known. But I think Chat GPT or OpenAI just democratized it so much that, it became like everybody now uses or is part of that. Specifically talking about, many industries or organizations have been on this digital transformation path for a couple of decades now, right? They're all trying to become tech first. And in that part, AI is playing a very, very integral role because it is opening up an opportunity for new revenue streams. It is opening up opportunity to improve your customer experiences. It is opening up opportunity to optimize your own internal processes, right? Given the role that a product manager plays in the intersection of these different aspects of business, customer, and technology, AI has a very profound impact on product management as a function, right? Because you are constantly looking at opportunity to bring new revenue stream, improve customer experience. And that is why either product managers are looking to leverage AI tools to improve their own productivity on a daily basis, or they are constantly looking at how they can personalize the experiences for their user. How can they leverage the AI as a technology to provide better recommendations or to accelerate their customer experience. And that is why today product management as a role, you'll see that AI product management, for example, is one of the fastest growing roles because AI is becoming very integral in the day-to-day life of a product manager, right? So, Greg, I would like to understand that how are we at HSB thinking about bringing it more in context of the curriculum that we have?
Yes, great question. So at HSB, we look to bring the best of practice globally into the classroom. And that necessarily, I believe, has to come with the integration of industry practices and practitioners coming and teaching in the classroom. So not only having great academic experts come and teach, which we also have, but also having these great practitioners who are on the cutting edge, who understand what's been going on in the market and sharing that knowledge with our students. Having that synthesis of the best of industry and academia, I feel is a major highlight for our program. And also bringing in a lot of global practices. So trying to link the best of Indian practices with the best of what's happening globally. So a lot of our faculty come from abroad. So we get around a third of our faculty who are international. and coming to teach in the program. So we have guest lectures, we have visiting professors who come and teach our students. So both in terms of geographic diversity and also in terms of the knowledge that they're getting, it's not coming from any one source, which I think for someone to be prepared for a global career in technology and product management and related domains, that's something that's absolutely essential.
I guess so. That's the reason I think the students recently won a prize at the product management conference that happened in Bangalore, and that shows they're learning and absorbing a lot of things and participating in these industry forums so that they have their exposure and their products are getting.
I think that's a great feat.
Greg, I think it's interesting in the curriculum that we have a 2-year residential program, and the first year covers all the core courses. And I think these are a lot of general subjects. What is the basis on which you chose these? How is the curriculum designed for that?
Yeah, so it's actually set up as a journey. So each kind of term of the program, each is a separate stage. So the student is going through an academic and leadership journey, gradually and systematically builds up their skills and prepares them to be a leader, to operate effectively in the trenches. So that's something that's a unique feature to HSB. And in the first year, yes, we have a general curriculum. So we cover a lot of traditional MBA subjects to give that good generalist background, to give those essential leadership qualities and traits to students. But at the same time, we also begin introducing the technology element. So we have courses that are more specialized, even in the first year, in product management, in AI, in entrepreneurship, organizational foresight. So also kind of non-traditional courses that students are already exposed to in the first year.
I guess this is in addition to the general functional subjects like marketing, finance, operations, and the rest of them, which form the foundation of a traditional MBA.
Yes, because there are some skills that are still essential. So we want to make sure that students, regardless of their precise industry and role that they select, that they're able to understand functional areas in order to integrate effectively with the rest of the team within the organization. So that's something that is certainly still a part of this and other good global MBA programs. In the second year, students then have the opportunity to specialize. So that's when they can really dive into elective courses in their areas of interest and do a specialization in addition to the generalist MBA.
Malthi, you must be knowing that product managers, even if they look at the coding and other skills, the technological skills, their core is also these general functional subjects, which are very, very important. I'm sure you must be looking at a lot of product managers who are looking to recruit, and this forms a very important part. Do you have anything to say about what they're looking for?
Yeah. So I think, see, as I said earlier, it is a great thing that a product manager has a fundamental understanding of how a business operates, right? So I think that is more like an expected, especially if somebody's coming from a B school. The second thing I would say is that there are some nuanced requirement that you would have for certain industry or the nature of the problem that the product is solving. So based on that, I would say there are always these foundational skills that we look at for a product manager to have, especially from discovery of the user research, design, how you are doing, execution part of it, and that which the course should kind of equip them with. But then there would be also nuanced aspect. For example, if somebody is strong in technology, then they would look at they would have the likelihood to be able to crack, let's say, a technical product management role. Versus if you go to a banking or a financial services organization, they would probably prefer to have folks who come from financial backgrounds because that lets them hit the road from day one, right? So I would say in general at the entry level PM jobs, the focus is more, do they have the foundational skills? But as they kind of grow, they build their strengths, they work on a certain domain, they kind of build their career according to that. But I would say, to give a level playing field, the idea is to look for those foundational skills. But yes, if the company is working in a certain domain, for example, you are working in a regulatory domain, let's say like a healthcare or an insurance, having some of those differentiating skills with a background or an experience always helps.
So HSB is the school to go for product managers.
Absolutely.
You'll get the best talent here.
Absolutely.
So for business school students or aspirants who are trying to get into a program, I'd say take the road less traveled. So to go back to your Robert Frost poem, everyone's trying often to go in the same direction, but you can create a lot of novel value by just taking a slightly divergent path, doing something a little bit different. And that's what we try to do at HSB. So we try to help students choose a unique path and to find a way to contribute unique value to organizations or even to their own enterprises that they create in the future.
I think that's very good advice, Greg. And I'll add to that because I see a lot of disappointed applicants in a lot of business schools, and who feel if they don't get an ABC or an Ivy League, it's the anything. An MBA is a road to a goal. It's not the goal itself. So any road you take, let it be an IIM or other schools, please do not stop just because you didn't make it with a certain CAT score. Explore other options, because there are a lot of roads. The goal is a very different one, and the goalposts keep changing in life. So let it be a business, a job, or on a career aspiration that you have. Choose a different path and take it there. It may not be one MBA, but another MBA also can lead you there in a different way. But so do not stop, keep aspiring and exploring other MBA options too.
And I think since we are talking about learning by doing, right? I mean, one of the things which I would say also is that look that your MBA program is also how you can leverage that to, up your skills, not only from an academia perspective, but it gives you the opportunities, or, we spoke about extracurricular activities, right? That how can you excel yourself just going beyond your classrooms, right? As part of your cohort, as part of extracurricular. So there are tons of opportunities and upskilling that you can do just by practicing some of these extracurricular activities, participating in competitions, product competitions. So you should definitely keep an eye out on there, where MBA can also help you harness that aspect.